Hello everyone, this is Joseph Propati, and in today's video I'm going to be covering the game Until Dawn. Until Dawn is a game that was designed by Jack Bennett and the art was done by Carolyn Doherty. It's published by Corvid Games, and actually through Corvid Games you can download the rules and you can download the game board, the 8.5 by 11 version. This is a larger 11 by 17 version that I created, and you can download that on Board Game Geeks. Now the cards can be purchased through drivethrough.com, and it would be the 38 cards with the smaller card tokens that have the barricades, Jasper, and Rebecca as a zombie. These are what you can purchase. You can't print the game out. It's not a print and play anymore. The only thing that's printable is the game board and the rules. You do need to purchase. And then the other thing that you'll need to find or purchase are these tokens. And I'll cover that under more detailed information under the components. But I just want to give a nice quick overview of what Until Dawn is. So Until Dawn is a solitary card game in which you play as John Woods in an attempt to defend your small cabin from a zombie attack. With the help of your dog Jasper and a loaded shotgun, you must hold off the zombies attempting to breach the 4 entrances to the cabin and survive until dawn. Once the sun rises, the zombies disperse and you can make your escape. But worse, Wood's wife Rebecca is suffering from a zombie bite to the arm and is doing everything in her power to keep from being overcome by the zombie infection. That is Until Dawn. So with that overview, let's go ahead and talk about the components of the game. So the components of the game for Until Dawn. You have your set of rules, you have a game board, you have your 38 cards, which will have your zombies, 3 different types of zombies, bite cards, clockwise movement, counterclockwise movement. That'll make up the cards. And then you have your 8 barricade cards, which can have a logo on one side and the barricades on the other. You have the one Jasper, the dog token card, and then Rebecca after she's turned into a zombie. Rebecca doesn't play in the game. It only comes out after she's turned and turns into a zombie. So that's when that token starts played. And then again you have your smaller tokens, 2 of the 8mm black and white cubes, and then either a round or a cube token that represents the ammo. So that's what's needed for the game to play Until Dawn. So I'll go ahead and we'll work on the setup. Alright, let's talk about the setup of the game. So you're going to have your main game board placed in front of you, and then you will go through your 38 cards, and what you want to do is you're going to pull out 3 of the zombie cards, a screamer, a scratcher, and a sneaker, and you want to find these 3 cards that don't have the little white plus symbol in a circle. And I'll give you an example what that looks like. Make sure it doesn't have this in the corner. Okay, so you'll have these 3 cards. What you're going to do is you're going to shuffle these and just mix them up. And then you'll place these 3 cards on the bite deck space. The remaining 35 cards, just shuffle them up and then go ahead and put these on the draw deck, right on the game board. Then what you'll do is you'll take your ammo marker for the shotgun, place it on 8, and then you have your white and your black cubes. The white is for your actions and the black is for the zombie actions. That goes right on the first base. And then you take Jasper, place him on the rug, in the main room. Now the Rebecca token stays off to the side, and so do the barricades. Those get played during actions. Again, Rebecca token only comes in once she's turned. And really that's it. There's no dice in the game. It's primarily a card-driven game. And again, you are using actions when you're playing. So that is your setup. And then we're going to go into more of a play summary about what actions you can take during your turn, and then how the zombie's turn is taken. So we'll go into that next. Okay, so now that you have everything set up and are ready to play, let's just go ahead and talk about just give a general play summary of the game. So each turn, you take as many actions as you wish to take. Each time you take an action, you move your time marker to the right, 1 space, on this time tracker. When you choose to stop taking actions, the zombie takes their turn. First, any zombies already in play attempt to break into the cabin. Afterwards, cards are drawn from the deck, which can cause more zombies to enter play or move, or cause Rebecca have her bite wound to worsen. And then after the zombie's turn, if the game hasn't ended, you may continue taking more actions. At the end of the zombie turn, if the time and the zombie marker are both on the last space of the time track, the zombies start their final assault on the cabin. If you can survive this assault with at least one unbreached entrance, because you have these 4 separate entrances, you'll win. So that is the general summary of the game. Let's go ahead and talk about your turn and the actions you can take in your turn. Alright, let's talk about your turn. So on your turn, again, you take actions and perform certain actions on your turn. Now, as was said before, you can take 1 action, 10 actions, as many actions as you want, but you have to remember that the zombie will get the same amount of actions they can take during their turn. So, your turn lasts as long as you wish. Just remember that the more actions you take, it's going to be the same amount of actions that the zombies get to take. Now, on your turn, these actions are certain things that you're doing during your turn. So, barricades. Let's talk about barricades. So, you have 8 barricades that you can play during the game. These are placed in one of the 4, any of these 4 entrances, and you would just place it right on the game board. Now once they're placed, you can't move them around. They can only be placed from offside, from this outside group of tokens. And once they're removed, you just put them back off to the side and they can be used on your next turn. Now your shotgun. Your shotgun has 8 shots. So each time you take a shot on your turn, and you can take as many shots that you have available. So again, since it's an action, if you took 4 shots, again the zombies would get to take 4 actions on their turn. So when you take a shot, you're going to discard the top zombie card on any entrance, whichever one you want. Then if there are any other zombie cards at the entrance, you move them to the top zombie card, 1 unbreached entrance clockwise, leaving its orientation the same. If the ammo marker is at 0, you can't take this action anymore, and you may not use this action to shoot at Rebecca when she's a zombie. So that's firing your shotgun. Now you have a dog, his name's Jasper. You can move Jasper to one of the 4, one of these 4 entrance spaces. You may not take this action if Jasper's been killed. So Jasper can be moved, and there's a function that when he's moved by the entrance, it's how you use him at that entrance when the zombies are about to breach. So that's an action. You move him at an entrance, that would be an action. Now you have the ability to treat the bite. So when you treat a bite, you shuffle all the cards in the bite pile, and then you discard one of them at random. Because this pile, you don't want to let it build up. So an action, that would be one of the actions to take, is to treat a bite and remove one of the cards from this. And then your last action just could be a pass, where you decide not to do anything and don't take any actions. So that's the things you can do during your turn. We'll go ahead and talk about what the zombies do on their turn. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about the zombie turn. Now, the zombie turn consists of an attack, the zombies attacking, or drawing from the draw deck. Now, that first action, the attack, that won't happen on the very first turn of the game because you won't have any zombie cards out, so you'll go directly to the draw. But for the zombie attack, that attack is resolved in 2 rounds. So the first round determines which zombies will attack. So any zombies that do attack are turned 90 degrees, and there's an orientation where you have your cards, and we can show that you'll have your cards out like this, and then when we have attacking zombies, they will get rotated 90 degrees. So these zombies that are attacking are turned 90 degrees, and then zombie cards that have been turned 90 degrees will be referred to as the attacking zombies. So the second round, this resolves the attacks of all attacking zombies. So for both rounds, start at the front door, and you'll notice that the front door is marked, and then start from there and move in a clockwise direction and just resolve each entrance as you go around. So for this first round, like I said, we start the front door, and then you check the type of zombies at the entrance. If there's at least one zombie of all 3 colors, now that means you have these in 3 different colors, and we will take, let's get these. So you'll see that you have these 3 types of zombies. You have scratchers, screamers, and then sneakers. And they are in a red, a green, and a blue. So one of the cases where if you have at least 3 zombies that are of the same color at an entrance, then all zombies of that color at every entrance attack. So let's say we had 3 of the reds. That would put up a situation where all zombies at an entrance that are red would attack. Now, without changing the order of the cards, check every entrance for that color of zombie and turn those cards 90 degrees. And I'll show an example of that setup. Let's see, so it's possible that both conditions apply, in which case both effects apply. All zombies at current entrance attack, as do all zombies at all entrances that match the color of any 3 of a kind. So it's a situation that's where the part of the game gets a little complicated, because you have to really keep track of the cards at all the entrances, their orientation, and which ones have been turned 90 degrees, and making sure that you turn zombie cards 90 degrees, and the fact that we have clockwise and counterclockwise movement. And I think what I'll do is I'm going to talk about those cards before I start getting into the details or examples of the zombie turn. So let me go ahead and do that. We'll talk about the different types of cards in the draw deck. Alright, let's go ahead and talk about the cards and the different type of cards that you'll see during the zombie turn. So one of the cards will be the bite card. Now the bite card, you will either find it like this without the little white plus, or it will have it on there, and we'll talk about how that causes a draw. But the bite card will also have different colors. It'll be in the red, the blue, or the green. So when you draw a bite card, two things happen. First, if Zombie Rebecca, if that token is in play, you move it one entrance clockwise. So wherever this Rebecca token is at, if you draw a bite card, just move it clockwise. Just depending on if she's already in the game. Now if she's not in the game, what you do is you'll shuffle the bite deck and then draw a random card from it. If that color of the card matches this color of this drawn card, well then the bite effect kicks in and Rebecca will turn and she'll become the zombie. So this bite card is what will affect Rebecca in the game. Okay, the next cards that you're going to see out of the draw deck are move cards. These are going to be either a move clockwise or a move counterclockwise. And this has two effects. So when you draw a move card, what can happen is if Jasper is in play at an entrance, if he's not on the rug but he's actually been played at an entrance, drawing this card kills Jasper and he's out of the game. So very important that you're aware that whenever you play Jasper, if this card comes up, Jasper's killed and removed from the game. Now the other thing is this causes the top zombie card at each entrance to move either clockwise based on the card or counterclockwise. So as you'll see, all these top zombie cards, they will move one entrance and then you will turn them 90 degrees so they're attacking. Okay? So that's what happens when you use a move or when you draw a move card. Again, be aware that I think these may have a white plus and cause an extra draw. So these are move cards, and you'll either say clockwise or counterclockwise. Okay, so the next cards you'll see are the actual zombie cards. Now there's three different types of zombies. You have the screamers, the sneakers, and the scratchers. And they all have different effects on the game and how they react when they're attacking. But when they're drawn, when any of these are drawn, place the card at any of the four entrances of your choice. So if you drew a screamer, you could just place them there. And you place them on top of any other zombie cards at that entrance. Now you want to stagger them like this so you can kind of see all the colors. Because remember, how they are grouped affects on how other monsters attack or other zombies attack. But when you draw a card and it has one of these three, you're going to have your choice of which entrance you want to put into them and just put them on top of the other zombies. Now again, if you see this white cross, right, that means you're going to be drawing another card. Okay? So that's that part of the game where you take 4 actions and then the zombie takes 4 actions, but it could be, if you drew these 3, that's going to be 1 plus another one, plus another one, and that one plus another one. So this would actually end up being 6 turns out of these 3 draws. So something that you really want to be aware of, that their actions can go much longer than yours. So these are the 3 zombie types, and I'll go over how these affect play when they're actually in that 90-degree attack mode. Okay? So let's go ahead, and I think this would be a good time to talk about how during the zombie turn, show some examples of how they stack up, and since you have the control of where you place them, you really, that meat of the game is where you have the control of how these cards are stacking. What throws it out of your control is when you get a card that says move clockwise or move counterclockwise, because you might have set this up so you don't have this group of 3, then all of a sudden you get a counterclockwise and a red moves to here, and then now you have 4-3, and it brings on a zombie attack. So that's one of the things that's important on where you're placing your zombies, and then when they start to attack and how you turn them, and then seeing how the top zombie cards, the writing based on those 3 different types, how they affect. Some just affect the barricade, some go just to try and breach, you know, some go straight in and try and attack. So I'll talk about that on the examples that we cover for the zombie turn. Okay, so now I'm going to go through and talk about some examples on the zombie turn. And remember before we said during the zombie turn, the first thing you do is check for attacks, and then after you check for attacks, that's when you'll do your draw. So let's talk about the zombie attacks. Now this is where some people get confused on this, and I completely understand it, because there's an element to this that can trip you up, because there's a lot of movement in this. So hopefully I can explain this, and I'll do it through the example in the manual, and seeing it might make it a little bit easier. So the conditions for an attack are, there's 2 types of conditions. So when you're checking for attacks, and you always check from the front door and work your way around clockwise. Now, the way an attack is going to be produced is 2 conditions. One, if you have all the same color, so you have all blues, all reds, all green, that will initiate an attack and a certain type of attack conditions. Then if you have 3 of the same, of each individual color, so a blue, a red, and a green in that pile or that stack, that will also cause an attack, and that will be a certain type of attack. So first we'll talk about all the same color. So I've got this set up. It's the same example in the book or in the manual, and we'll go through and we'll talk about the same process for this zombie attack. So again, we always check for attacks first on the zombie turn, and we start with the front door. So now Jasper's not going to be at any entrance, he's going to be on the rug. So at the front door we check, and there are 3 scratchers, all red, at the door. Now, since all scratchers are at the entrance, all these will attack, and all are turned to the side because of this condition of 3 reds. Okay, so that means when they're the same color, all of those cards at the instant stack. So what we do is we turn all these 90 degrees, like this, and these all attack. But the condition that goes along with that is every card or zombie card of red, of this condition, this red, on each entrance, they also attack. So any reds at this entrance, or this one, will also attack. So first we see that this condition is applied, and we shifted all these zombies 90 degrees, right? So these are all attacking from this entrance. So this one is finished. So then we move clockwise and we go to this next entrance. So at the next entrance, there's 1 scratcher that matches, right, these 3 in this condition. So this red Scratcher zombie is rotated and becomes an attacking zombie. The one screamer and the two sneakers, the blue, because there's at least one zombie of each color, blue, green, and red, all zombies at this entrance attack. So you have, again, when you have three zombies of the same color, all those of that color attack at that entrance. So if there was a blue and another blue, only these three red are the ones that attack. But that condition causes a red at each entrance to also rotate and attack. And that's why we got this one to turn. Now the next condition, we have this red, green, and blue, and that group causes all zombies, all colors, to attack at that entrance. It doesn't affect anything else, but all these now will rotate and attack. So we take these, and that's because of this condition, blue, green, and red. And now we rotate these. Make sure you keep the same orientation. And now those are all attacking. So we've got these three attacking and those four attacking. And that is done for this entrance. Now we rotate clockwise again. We look at these. There happened to already be a sneaker attacking. So, and it was already turned 90 degrees. There's no other conditions on here that are affected. There's no red in here. There's no red in this pile to cause these all to attack. So nothing happens here for this entrance. So then we move our way back over to this entrance. This last entrance, it has just screamers and sneakers. Regardless of attacking zombies, no sets are created. So nothing happens here. And on this last entrance, everything stays as it is. No sets are created, nothing gets turned. So, just do another quick cover on this. On the zombie turn, first thing you do is check for attacks. Two conditions. If you have the same color of three cards, whether they're three reds, three blues, three greens, those colors turn 90 degrees and are attacking zombies. That same condition now affects all the other entrances. So if these were the red three zombies that turned, every red in these other instances also turn and become attackers. The next condition is if you have one of each color, a red, a green, and a blue. If that's at an entrance, all zombies in that pile now attack. Doesn't affect other entrances, it just says all the zombies at that entrance attack. And they're all turned 90 degrees. And again, when you're checking attacks, you'll check from front door, go to the next entrance clockwise, 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 and just work your way around. So then, once you're done checking to see which zombies are turned and are going to attack, then you go into that attack mode. And then I'll explain how these attacks affect the conditions inside. Okay, so now let's talk about the effects of the attack. Now this is the meat of the game that I think, because all zombies deal different types of attacks. And since you have three different types of zombies, you're going to have three different types of attack actions from these zombies. So again, we know that once we've determined which ones will attack, and we know that any zombies that are turned 90 degrees, those are attacking zombies. Anything else, they're just at the door. But the cool thing is, the effects of these zombies throw the game into a tizzy. So let me explain how each of those types, sneaker, screamer, and scratchers, affect each entrance and how they attack. So the first we'll talk about are the scratchers. Now we know the scratchers are the red ones. Okay, so that will be these right here, scratchers. Now, first I'm just going to read right off the card. If there are no barricades, move clockwise, and still attacking otherwise, discard and destroy one barricade. So these Scratchers, these zombies have no interest in breaking into the house. They are only interested in tearing it down. So when a scratcher attacks, and that's the red zombie, when they attack, if there's at least one barricade, one of these, in the case here, if there's at least one barricade token at the entrance, remove one of the barricade tokens and discard by placing it off to the side. And then you discard the scratcher card. So these are basically tearing down the barricades. So let's talk about that again. You have a barricade, you have a scratcher attacking. If there's a barricade, you remove the barricade and you remove the stacker or the scratcher, and it goes in the discard. If there are no barricades, so now we're in the condition where there's no barricades now because this scratcher took this one. So if there are no barricade tokens at the entrance, the scratcher moves one entrance clockwise. Okay? So it moves clockwise. Place it attacking on top of any zombie cards in its new entrance. So that would mean it would move there. And it would resolve, once you finish this one, you would now go to here and start resolving these. Again, if there was no barricade here, it moves again. So, place attacking on the top of the cards at the new entrance. If this entrance has not yet been resolved this turn, the scratcher will attack again. Okay, so that's how scratchers that are attacking are resolved. Now let's talk about the blue sneakers. So now again, I'll read right off the card. So you have, if there are fewer barricades than total sneakers, breach and discard all other sneakers. Otherwise, discard all sneakers and destroy one barricade. So what we have is, and like in this case, we have a sneaker. So these are the smarter zombies than the scratchers and are desperately trying to break into the cabin. When a sneaker attacks, count up all the attacking sneakers at the current entrance. So we have, in this case, we have 2 sneakers attacking. Okay? If this number is greater than the number of barricade tokens at the entrance, the sneakers breach the entrance. So it's one of those where that's when you're trying to figure out how many barricades to put at the entrance. And again, since you have control about where these zombies are placed, beyond the fact that they can move because of the clockwise or counterclockwise, but you can kind of keep track if you think one might move. So you have 2 here. As long as you have 2 barricades, these will be okay. You can stop them. So again, if the number is greater than the number of barricade tokens in the entrance, the sneakers breach the entrance. You would place the topmost sneaker card over the entrance and discard the rest. Remove all barricade tokens from the entrance. Move all the other zombie cards at the entrance 1 entrance clockwise and place them underneath any other zombie cards at their new entrance. Whether they were attacking before or not, place all of them so they are not attacking. So, again, barricades are critical to sneakers. As long as you have more than you have sneakers, you're good. They can't breach. But once their number is greater, they'll destroy those and breach that room. So that's the deal with sneakers. So now, if the number of sneakers is less than or equal to the number of barricades, discard all the sneakers. So in this case, if we had 2 barricades and we're following through on this entrance attack, we would get to remove all those sneakers. And then remove just 1 barricade from the entrance. Okay? So that's sneakers, and that's their type of attack. Now the last one is the Screamers. Now the Screamers, these are the green zombies. So again, I'll read off the card. If there are no barricades, breach. Otherwise, discard and draw 2 cards. Add zombies to current entrance, attacking. Add bites to the bite pile, discard moves. So, Screamers, the green ones. Screamers are the smartest of the bunch. If a Screamer has an easy way into the cabin, they take it. But otherwise, they let out a high-pitched scream which summons other nearby zombies. When a Screamer zombie attacks, so if there are no barricade tokens at that entrance, those Screamers breach that entrance. You would place the Screamer card over the entrance, move all other zombie cards at the entrance 1 entrance clockwise, and place them underneath any other zombie cards at their new entrance. Whether they were attacking before or not, place all of them so they are not attacking. If there are at least 1 barricade token at the entrance, the Screamer lets out a howl. Discard the deck, or excuse me, discard the Screamer and draw the top 2 cards from the deck. One at a time. Place any zombie cards drawn at the current entrance underneath any other zombie cards there. Turn these new zombies so they are attacking. Place any bite card drawn face down into the bite pile without resolving their effects. Discard any other movement cards drawn without resolving their effects. And then since these new zombies are placed attacking underneath any other zombies at the current entrance, they will attack this entrance on this turn. But you ignore any of the plus symbols on any of these draw cards. So if you're just going to be drawing 2 cards. So that is how you resolve the types of attacks for the 3 different types of zombies. Again, this is where it can get complicated because not only do you have to make sure as you're going through each attack that you know which situation caused certain zombies to attack, and then once you're done, you got to go back to the front door and now resolve those attacks. And each zombie has a different effect on the cabin and how it attacks, or how it tries to breach, or how it affects a barricade. So hopefully that kind of gave a little better idea of seeing it visually, but I'll try and do a couple more examples, and we'll do that next. Okay, so let's go through a second round of this previous setup. So we've got everything that we've produced our attacks. Now in this round we're actually going to go through and do the attacks. So during the second round, all zombies that are now turned to the side attack the cabin. So we know that there'd be these, all these entrants, this sneaker, and that's it. So we start with the front door, and attacks are resolved once at each entrance from the top card to the bottom card on each attacking zombie. So from this front door that has 3 attacking scratchers, and we put 2 barricades. The first attacking scratcher is discarded after the barricade token. So remember, we have, if there's no barricade, move clockwise, otherwise discard. So we know we have this one attacks, so we discard this scratcher and this barricade. So we have that one. The second scratcher is also discarded along with this barricade. So the last scratcher, since it has no barricade, the last scratcher has no barricade to destroy, so he moves to the next entrance clockwise. Okay? So that means he moves on to the top of these cards. Right? placed on top of any zombies there, he remains attacking. So we just shift. So now we've resolved the front door. We move clockwise and we resolve this next entrance. So let's go ahead and do that. At the next entrance, all zombies are attacking. The newly arrived Scratcher, which is placed on top, will attack first. So again, this Scratcher destroys one barricade and is discarded. So we discard the barricade. But now we have a Sneaker. The Sneaker attacks next. There are two attacking Sneakers at this entrance and only one barricade. So the Sneakers breach this entrance. Remember, the Sneakers are always based on you want to have as many barricades as you have Sneakers or greater. So once the Sneakers have a greater number of the barricades, then they breach. So this barricade is removed and the topmost Sneaker card is placed over the entrance. Like this. The other is discarded. So we go ahead and discard this one. Let's see, so discard, keep the other order the same. So we get rid of that. The Screamer and the Scratcher are moved one entrance clockwise. So these get moved. And remember, when they're moved, they are placed as not attacking. So we put these underneath because you keep the order the same. Screamer and Scratchers are moved to one entrance clockwise, placed underneath the other zombies, and are non-attacking. Even though a set is now created, because now we have blue, green, and red, they are not attacking. No zombies are turned to the side. Sets are only checked during the first round of attack. So that's very important. When zombies move as groups, and they can create these combinations of either 3 colors or 3 individual colors, they're not attacking, or they get moved to non-attacking, and they don't create another set of attackers. Because that only happens during the initial attack phase. So this is when you're resolving attackers. So that's this entrance that we've resolved. So now we'll go to the next entrance. Let's do this one. So the next entrance, we have one attacking Sneaker, right? And one barricade. The Sneaker and the barricade are both discarded. So we discard, and we discard the Sneaker. None of the other zombies in this entrance are attacking, so this entrance is resolved, and then we move clockwise over here, and on the last entrance none of these zombies are attacking, so nothing here happens, and we are done. So that completes this turn of figuring out who's attacking and then actually going through and attacking with those zombies. So this is resolved. Let's go on to talking about the next set of instructions. Okay, so since we've finished and resolved all the attacks, now we go to that second part of the zombie turn, which is when you draw from the draw pile. So this is when you'll draw cards, and you draw and play cards based on the number of actions that were taken. So on the player's turn, if I had taken two actions, okay? On the zombie turn, I'd go through what I just did. I would do my attacks, I would go through and see who's attacking, and then I would resolve those attacks. Once that finished, then I would go through and draw my cards. Now, I have 2 actions, so the first action, I would draw a card, look at it. Now, remember how I said you have zombie cards and then you have this white plus? So what happens is, I draw the card and I get to decide where I want to put this. So I think here and I go, oh, I don't want to put it here, because then I would create this combination of 3 blues and everything is going, or you know, these 3 blues attack and then every other blue zombie and all of the entrances attack. So I think it's best to just put this right here. Okay? It's all alone, nothing can create a combination, and we're good. But it had that white plus. So that means the zombies get another free action of turning over a card. And this, again, this is where it gets tricky. So now we have a bite, right? And on a bite, we first see if Rebecca's in play. She's not, right? And then we do that process where we shuffle this bite deck, and then we draw one, and if it matches this color, Rebecca turns. Otherwise, if she doesn't, then we place and add this to the bite pile. So we'll pretend like I drew a card and it didn't match, so we would put it in here. But remember, it had a white plus on it. So even on the same action, we draw another one and we get another bite. So we would go through that process. Is Rebecca out there? Does she move? How does she affect the other zombies? She's not, so we'll shuffle this bite deck, draw one. If it doesn't match, we're good. We just add it to the bite pile. And remember, you don't want to get this bite pile too big. Now that would be the first action that was done, right? We drew a card, didn't have a white one, boom. But now we have to do another action. So we draw another card. And we got another bite. So we'd go through that process. And if Rebecca, the zombie, was in play, then she would be moved clockwise. And I will explain what Rebecca does when she's in the game. But again, for the zombies' turn and their second action, there was no white plus. We do this, we go through the process of shuffle and then place it in here. So that's what I mean by the zombie just got 4 turns out of 2 actions because of those pluses. Those pluses, and you'll know there's a lot of them on the cards, they really throw the game into left field because you have these plans of what you want to do, and then you could just get turn after turn after turn for the zombie where he's just drawing cards, and he's building up either the bite pile or throwing more zombies out. And sometimes you don't even have a choice. You might have these color combinations where you're going to have to put it on a pile and create an attacking set of zombies. So it's a tough one. But just remember, one of the critical things, every action you take, the zombie is going to get the same amount of actions. So that's the draw phase. Again, you have 2 parts for the turn. For the zombies, they go through the attacks, and then they go through the draws. And then for the attack part, it's see who's attacking, and then resolve the attack. Okay? So we'll talk about Rebecca and Jasper and how they affect play. We'll do that next. Alright, let's talk about Rebecca, Zombie Rebecca. So now, the game starts where Zombie Rebecca is not in play. And the only way that Zombie Rebecca comes into play is through this bite pile. And the way that happens is, whenever it's the zombie's turn and they draw a card, okay? And if they draw a bite, so let's go through and we'll grab a bite card. So on the zombie turn, they draw and you get a bite card, whether it has this symbol or not. This is what can create a Zombie Rebecca. And the way, again, that happens is you take this bite and you can just place it in here if this bite pile has 5 or less cards. Okay? So as long as this deck, I think it has less than 5 cards, you can place cards in here. You can even place zombie cards in here. But you have to make sure if there are 5 or more cards in this pile, you can't just place cards in here anymore. Okay? Then you'll have to go through this, shuffle this bite pile, draw a random card, and if it matches the color on this card drawn matches the color on this drawn card, that's when it turns Rebecca and she becomes a zombie. And when that happens, she ends up biting woods, right? And the way we'll do this, when Rebecca turns, okay, and she becomes a zombie, she bites woods on the leg before destroying the front door and running out. Now, that means you're going to remove all barricades that are at the front door. Then you're going to place Zombie Rebecca at the front entrance, and even if it's breached, and you discard all cards from the bite pile and throw them in the discard pile. Then, now, if the bite had a plus, you still got to draw another card and see what happens. But if she gets turned, she gets put in the game, the barricades get removed, she gets placed on the entrance, and then all these bite cards get discarded. And that's when she starts to affect the game. So let's talk about how she can affect the game. So Zombie Rebecca, she alters the attacks of each zombie at her entrance in the following ways. So what happens is all 3 zombies react differently based on when they're at the entrance that she's at. And remember, when she's out and you draw a bite card, if she's in play, she moves clockwise. So now she affects, if she moved over here, she now affects how these zombies attack or how they react. So we'll go ahead and explain the different types of zombies and how they're affected. So let's talk about scratchers, the red ones. Scratchers breach if there are no barricades instead of moving. So place the scratcher over the entrance and move all other zombies. There are 1 entrance clockwise, placing them underneath any other zombie cards and turn them so they are not attacking. So like we did them before, those get moved to another entrance clockwise, put underneath, and then even if they were attacking, they get changed. So that's what she does to scratchers. It causes them to breach if there are no barricades. And it would happen right in here. Now, if we talk about screamers, screamers are the green ones. Screamers end up drawing 3 cards instead of 2 when they scream for help. So remember when Screamer screamed and they started to draw from this draw pile? Now they're going to draw 3 cards. Okay? And sneakers, the blue ones, sneakers breach if the total number of them are even equal or greater than the number of barricades instead of just greater. So it affects them where now they have this equal to ability instead of just having to be greater than. For the remainder of the game, when a bite card is drawn and resolved, we know that we move Rebecca clockwise. If the entrance zombie Rebecca becomes breached, leave her token there and it will move when the next bite card is drawn. The zombie Rebecca token doesn't count as a zombie card. She can't be shot with a shotgun, and she does not take any attacks from Jasper when a move card is drawn. Other zombie cards will, with her, still wound, however. So after zombie Rebecca's in play, the bite pile that we had removed and discarded remains active, continues to work by the same method. However, it is now John Wood's bite instead of Rebecca's. So while Zombie Rebecca is in play, if a bite card is drawn and a card of the matching colors drawn from the bite pile, Wood succumbs to the bite and becomes a zombie and joins Rebecca, and you lose the game. So we know that the initial bite pile will affect Rebecca. When she turns, it gets cleared out and now it becomes a new pile for John Woods, because one of her acts is she bites him as she runs, right before she runs out the door. So that's what happens with Rebecca. Let's go ahead and we'll talk about Jasper. So now we're going to talk about Jasper. Jasper is John Wood's faithful dog. So John is the family's German Shepherd, and you may take actions during your turn by placing Jasper at any entrance. During the zombie turn, if you place a zombie card with a plus symbol on it at an entrance where Jasper's token is, you may choose to place Jasper token on top of the zombie card, and if you do so, you may treat the card as if it did not have a plus symbol. However, you may no longer play zombie cards at that entrance during the zombie turn. At the end of the zombie turn, Jasper automatically moves back to the rug, and if Jasper is on the rug, he has no effect on the game, but he may not be attacked. So during the zombie turn, if a movement card is drawn, check to see if Jasper token is at an entrance. And again, remember that if he's at an entrance and you get one of those clockwise or counterclockwise, he's killed and removed from the game. So he helps affect zombies that are at an entrance by, again, you can place them. These zombies that have pluses, you can place them on top of those cards. And then treat it as if it didn't have a plus. So that's how Jasper is used in the game. So I think what we'll do is we'll talk about breaches next. Okay, let's talk about breaches. So breaches, like we had in the last one, where the sneaker broke through the barricade and breached this entrance. So now, breaches during the game, when they breach an entrance, the card is placed, such as this, over the entrance, and basically for the remainder of the game, that entrance is completely ignored. It's like it doesn't exist. So anything that gets moved, like if you have something move clockwise, you just continue moving it to the next entrance clockwise, counterclockwise. You just pretend as if this entrance didn't exist anymore. So zombie cards may not be placed here. Scratchers move past it as if the next unbreached entrance, so on to the next unbreached. Zombie cards moving after a breach or a shotgun blast, move past it to the next unbreach. And then when a bite card is drawn, Zombie Rebecca moves past it to the next unbreach. So it's literally not there. But now if Jasper is at a breach, so we have this, let's say we have this situation. So if Jasper is at an entrance when it is breached, you move him back to the rug, okay? And at your next opportunity to take actions, he may be moved to another entrance following all normal rules. If Zombie Rebecca is at an entrance when it is breached, such as this, then you would just leave her at the breached entrance. It will move when the next bite card is drawn. If a sneaker breaches an entrance, so we have this one, place the sneaker over the entrance and discard all other sneaker cards at that entrance. If a screamer or a scratcher breaches an entrance, place it over the entrance. In either case, discard any barricade tokens at the entrance and move all other zombie cards at that entrance, one unbreached entrance clockwise. So you place the cards underneath any other zombie cards, and if they were attacking, make it so they are not attacking when you place them. If, and this is basically what will end the game, if all 4 entrances become breached, such as this, John Woods is overrun and you lose the game. So I think that will cover breaches, and then we'll talk a little bit about discards, the deck, and basically winning the game. So let's talk about decks and discards. So we have our draw deck and our discard pile. When a card needs to be drawn from the drawn deck and there aren't any, just go ahead and shuffle up the discard pile. The bite pile and the discard pile, you can never examine those cards. You'll know what the top one is, but you can't go through those and see what's in there. And beyond that, all other information regarding the cards must remain hidden. And then for winning, After the final assault, and I will cover the final assault next, but basically, if there's at least one unbreached entrance, you win the game. So you can have up to 3 entrances breached, but as long as you get past that final attack and you have 1 entrance unbreached, you can win the game. However, there are various shades of winning. Surviving the final assault with both Rebecca and Jasper alive is a perfect win. Scrambling out of the house at dawn, having survived the final assault but with Wood's wife and best friend dead, well, that's hardly winning at all. So we'll go ahead and talk about that final assault. Okay, so this one I just want to talk about that final assault. So after you've played the zombie turn and you've drawn cards, that's when the zombies will hit this last marker, the time track on the very far right. So when that happens, this is going to initiate the final assault, and that's when that final assault will begin. So the final assault works similar to a normal attack, except there's a few minor differences. So let me tell you, there's 3 differences, and I'm going to talk about it. So we have every zombie attack. So every zombie attacks at every entrance, regardless of whether or not any sets are created. So basically just turn all zombie cards to their sides. So if we, as an example, had this situation, we basically just turn all these to attacking. Like this. And we have this situation. So now all zombie cards are turned and are now attacking. And then we resolve attacks as normal, starting at the front door and working your way clockwise. If an entrance is breached, so we have something like this, if an entrance is breached during the final assault, okay, so we had that case where barricade gets destroyed and it breaches, move all remaining zombies at that entrance 1 entrance clockwise, and underneath any other zombie cards there as normal. However, all those zombies are then turned to the side and are considered attacking. So normally when something breaches, you move clockwise and they're not set as attacking. But in this case, if you had other cards in here, zombie cards, and this one breached, they all move clockwise, but then they get turned to the attacking. And then you will resolve that next entrance. And then after resolving each unbreached entrance once, you must resolve another round of attacks, starting again at the front door. Repeat normal attack procedures, following all normal attack rules, remembering that after breaches during the final assault, the remaining zombies move as normal, but stay in the attacking mode. And then after that round of attacks, the final assault is over. And that's when you see if you have at least 1 unbreached entrance, you can win the game. So that final attack is pretty intense. It's a set of attacks because everything gets turned to attacking, and then you go through all the attacks, and then you do it one more time. So 2 rounds of attacks for that final assault. Heavy duty. So for this last part of the video, I thought I would just talk a little bit about my thoughts of the game Until Dawn, and just give a little bit of how I feel about the game, the mechanics, and how it plays. Now, component-wise, I think they're great components. The cards through Drive-Thru are really well made. They're good quality. I like them. Same with the smaller cards, same quality. Maybe a little bit thick would be nice, but I think they're nice. They're really nice cards, and they're not really expensive. You can print out your own boards. Again, you can print it out BGG for the larger one, or you can download and print it out the smaller one. And that's really up to you, the quality-wise, of how you want to print it out. And they're your own tokens, so that's really up to you again. So component-wise, I'm happy with it. The rules, and there's a lot of people that say they're very verbose, they're pretty wordy. The thing with the rules is when you read through it once, you're gonna go, huh? and then you're going to read through it again. You might read through it another time, and it's not one of these types of rules where you can play and start jump around. You really need to read through the rules a couple of times, because honestly, it just might not make sense the first time you go through it. And it's because there's a lot of detailed rules and situations that happen based on other things that happen during play. And since you have 3 different types of zombies that have 3 different types of attacks and react differently to 3 different situations, it really can throw you off. But when you start setting up the game and you go through a couple examples and you figure out how these attacks are resolved and what happens, it starts to make sense. One of the situations that can occur, though, is you miss things, and you have to be very critical about, as it says in the book, start at the front door and work which zombies are going to attack, and then start at the front door again, and then work on those attacks and do them one after the other, because things get created as cards move. And again, the plans that you make can get thrown off in a second, because cards that are drawn cause other cards to move and things to shift. So you can have a lot of plans, and then you think you have strategies and these tactics, but a lot of things just get thrown off. Knowing when to play Jasper can be very critical, because you can use him early and he could be killed in the first turn. You just don't know, and he's good at stopping zombies when they're at an entrance, but you have to be careful. He can die really quickly in the game. Managing the bite pile is very critical, because the more cards you get in this bite pile, the more chances you're going to have of a matching color. And you can mitigate that by trying to force cards in there or removing cards of specific colors, because you get to, remove cards based on, doing a cleaning of the bite, or one of those actions is basically removing a bite card from or a card from the bite pile. So mitigating this is very critical to how it affects Rebecca. And then once she gets in the game, she just causes all kinds of havoc. So one of the other things is being careful of using your shotgun. You got 8 shots. You got to know when to use it. Try to save it if you can near the end, so you can, try and destroy as many zombies as you can, because you use that in the beginning, and then when you get that final attack, if you have a lot of zombies out there, you will probably get a lot of breaches, and you're not going to win the game. So critical on how you use your ammo with a shotgun. And again, the barricades are very important because of the way certain zombies attack and how they breach. So if you can, since you have the control of where you place those zombies, try and think ahead of time of where you're going to need the barricades and how many you can put out there. Luckily, they're not destroyed out of the game. You can still keep using them, but they take an action to place. So if you, on the first turn, placed 4 barricades, well, that's 4 turns that that they're going to get to draw cards, and the zombies will. So just remember that. It's very tough. Do you want to put those barricades out there fast? But they will affect you by how many cards are drawn. So one of the nice things is at least you get to decide where you get to place zombies. If this deck is less than 5, if it's not greater than 5, then you can start putting cards in here instead of putting them out there against the cabin. So you might have a blue and everything's got blues in it, and it might create a 3-way combination. Well, throw it in the bite pile. Again, it can get trickier as you're moving farther down in the game, where if you can keep Rebecca alive before you get to that final attack, it's critical in how she manages the zombies and they attack you. So that's that bite pile. So I personally, I like the game. I like the puzzle aspect of it. I like the planning that you have to think of when you're trying to figure out where zombies are going to be placed, knowing when clockwise and counterclockwise have been played already. They're in the discard pile, so you won't see them again. Knowing that if you know how many of their cards of those are out there and they've already been played, well, then you can just really use Jasper to a full effect, because you know those cards won't come out and kill him. And it's really, you almost have to start counting cards, because you got to know how many of these cards have these white pluses. And not only do you get to see them more on the board, but you'll know as you're either putting them in the bite pile or discarding, you're weeding those down, and they're weeding down the chances of them getting multiple actions when those are drawn. So there's a lot going on, and you really have to think and make sure that on the turns you don't miss anything. And that's what I think trips people up, is there's so many things going on, and they get so deep into the woods of what am I doing that they start to miss things. And if you can just kind of create yourself a step-by-step of do this, 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 this on your turn, and then do this, this, this on the zombie turn, I think each time you play, it will fall into just a sequence of actions that you just perform and follow. It'll make it so much easier to play. But I think it's a great game. It's definitely not expensive. It's easy to put together and doesn't take up a lot of table space. Again, if you'd use a smaller board, with this, it's 11 by 17 sheet, and you can see that it's again a small footprint. And I hope that this video that I put together explains it enough where you will be able to play the game, and it will answer some of the questions you have. So if you do have questions, go ahead and put them in the comment section. Ask Jack directly. He will answer your questions, and if I can answer, I will. Otherwise, he'll see it and he'll answer them. But I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching. This was the game Until Dawn.